Welcome, dear listener. Take a moment to settle in. Wherever you are, whether walking through a quiet forest, sitting in your room with soft light pouring through the window, or resting in a chair after a long day, this space is now yours. A space for stillness, for reflection, and for truth. In this podcast, we invite you on a journey through 10 timeless Buddhist stories. They are simple, yes, but not simplistic. Like the clear surface of a still pond, they reflect something deeper: the nature of our minds, the beauty of letting go, the ache of clinging, and the quiet joy of awakening. Each story is more than a tale. It is a mirror, a bell, a gate. Some may stir you gently. Others may challenge you. All will invite you to listen not only with your ears, but with your heart. You do not need to understand everything at once. Buddhism teaches us that true understanding does not arrive like lightning, but like rain, is slow, soft, and steady. It sinks in drop by drop. In the pauses between thoughts. In the silence after a story ends. These 10 teachings have been chosen not for their fame, but for their power to whisper to the soul. You may have heard them before. If so, listen again as if for the first time. A single line, a single breath, can change the course of your day, or your life. We begin this journey not with instructions, but with presence. Let go of expectation. Let go of trying to learn something. The mind that seeks too hard will miss the moon while staring at the finger. Instead, simply be here. Let the stories wash over you like the wind through a bamboo grove. Let your mind be soft. Let your breath be kind. Before we begin, allow me to offer one thought to carry with you through each chapter. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be taken away. The truth is already here, like a mirror beneath the dust. All we do is gently wipe it clean. Let the stories do the work. Let them sit in you. After each tale, we will pause. A moment to reflect, to absorb. I will offer you a soft meditation or daily reflection that you can carry with you beyond this listening. And now, our journey begins with the first story. The Blind Man and the Elephant. A tale about truth, and the many hands that try to hold it. Let us begin. Story 1: The Blind Man and the Elephant. Once, in a distant land, there lived 6 blind men. Each had heard rumors of a strange and powerful creature called the elephant. None had ever encountered one, but their curiosity grew unbearable. So they asked to be guided to the king's court, where an elephant had been brought for display. One by one, they approached the great beast. The first man reached out and touched its broad, firm side. "Ah," he said confidently, "the elephant is like a wall." The second felt the tusk long, curved, and sharp. "No, no," he insisted, "it is like a spear." The third grasped the trunk, winding and muscular. "You're both wrong," he said. "It is like a snake." The fourth ran his hands along the elephant's knee. "Nonsense," he muttered, "it is like a sturdy tree." The fifth held the ear, thin and flapping gently. "I feel it now," he smiled. "It is clearly like a fan." The sixth, near the tail, tugged gently and said, "You're all mistaken. The elephant is like a rope." They began to argue. Each believed what they had touched was the whole truth. Their voices grew louder, each man calling the others blind, ironically forgetting their own blindness. The argument turned to anger. What was once wonder became conflict. At last, a wise man approached. He listened quietly, then bowed and said, "Each of you is right. But each of you is also wrong. You have touched only a part. To see the truth, you must see the whole. But to see the whole, you must listen to one another." The men grew silent. And for the first time, they began to understand. We are all the blind men, aren't we? Each of us walks through life with limited perception, shaped by our experiences, beliefs, and wounds. We grasp a part of reality, a single detail of a vast and interconnected truth, and we call it everything. This story is not about blindness of the eyes. It is about the blindness of certainty. When we believe only what we feel, only what we see, we shut ourselves off from the possibility that others, too, hold a piece of truth. And so, like the blind men, we argue. We divide. We suffer. The Buddha once taught that the root of suffering is ignorance, not in the sense of stupidity, but in the forgetting that what we know is never complete. When we hold too tightly to our version of truth, we lose our gentleness. We lose our humility. And most painfully, we lose each other. Wisdom begins not with knowing more, but with knowing that we don't know. In Zen, there is a phrase, don't seek the truth. Just cease to cherish opinions. Let that settle in your heart. Today, I offer you this practice. It is small, but powerful. Think of one person you have disagreed with recently. Not someone distant. Someone close, a partner, a friend, a colleague. Now pause. Can you imagine what part of the elephant they were touching? Can you loosen your grip on the need to be right and instead open to seeing what they saw? Even if only for a moment? Close your eyes. Breathe in. Let the breath remind you that we are all experiencing different parts of the same world. Breathe out. And silently whisper. May I see more than what my hands can touch. May I listen not to respond, but to understand. This is the beginning of compassion. This is the way of wisdom. The elephant has many parts. But truth is whole. And now, with soft steps, we continue to the next story. A tale not of blindness, but of desire. It is called The Bowl and Greed. Shall we listen? Long ago, in a modest village nestled between green hills and slow rivers, there lived a wandering monk. His possessions were few: a robe to wear, a bowl to eat from, and a peaceful heart. Every morning, he would walk silently through the village, barefoot and serene. He carried with him a wooden alms bowl, not to beg, but to offer others a chance to practice generosity. Whatever was placed in the bowl, rice, fruit, even just water, he would accept with gratitude. One day, as the monk approached a busy market, a wealthy merchant noticed the bowl. It was no ordinary vessel. Though worn from years of use, it had a quiet, humble glow to it, almost as if it held something beyond food. The merchant, who prided himself on owning only the rarest items, felt a desire rising in him. That bowl, he said, approaching the monk. Sell it to me. I will pay handsomely. The monk bowed gently. This bowl is not for sale. I'll give you 10 silver coins. I cannot part with it. 20. Still, the monk declined. The merchant's desire grew teeth. I will give you 100 silver coins. That's enough to build a temple. The monk looked at the bowl in his hands, then at the merchant's eyes, filled not with reverence, but possession. He said quietly, You see only the bowl. But it is the emptiness inside that feeds me. With that, he turned and walked away, leaving the merchant standing alone in a sea of gold he could never eat. Greed is not just wanting more. It is the belief that more will make us enough. In today's world, the bowls we chase may not be made of wood, but they come in many forms: the latest phone, the perfect relationship, the flawless body, the bigger house. We see something, we want it, we grasp. But like the merchant, we rarely ask why. In Buddhism, greed is known as lobha, one of the 3 poisons that cloud the mind, alongside hatred and delusion. Greed is a hunger that feeds on itself. The more it gets, the more it needs. The monk's bowl was valuable not because of what it contained, but because of its emptiness. It had room to receive. Greed cannot receive, it only hoards. The greedy heart is full of craving, but empty of joy. So the question is, what bowl are you holding? And what are you filling it with? Today, I invite you to try a gentle reflection. Find a quiet space. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Imagine that you are holding a bowl in your hands. It is light, smooth, empty. Now, one by one, begin to name the things you often chase: money, praise, status, control. As you name each one, imagine placing it into the bowl. Feel the weight grow. Then, one by one, begin to remove them. With each removal, whisper gently. This is not who I am. This does not define my worth. I am already whole. When your bowl is empty once more, place it at the center of your heart. Let it remain there open, soft, and ready to receive only what is needed. Remember, the bowl's true power is not in its decoration, nor in its owner, but in its space. The merchants sought to own the bowl. The monks simply used it. And so, only one of them was free. Now, let us journey onward. To a story about a young boy, not rich, not wise, but sincere. A boy who carried water for the Buddha, and in doing so, carried something far greater. Shall we begin? In the time of the Buddha, monks would gather each day to listen to his teachings under the shade of a great Bodhi tree. They came from all corners of the land, scholars, princes, and seekers alike, each carrying questions in their hearts and robes on their backs. Among them was a boy. He was not a monk. He had no formal learning, no noble lineage. He simply lived nearby and helped around the monastery. His task was humble: to fetch water from the river and fill the clay pots near the tree so that the monks could drink before the teachings began. Each morning before sunrise, the boy would rise. He would walk barefoot to the riverbank, scoop water with care, and carry it back pot after pot. He did not complain. He did not seek recognition. He did it as if it were a sacred ritual. One day, a visiting monk, learned and proud, noticed the boy working and scoffed, "Why do you waste your time carrying water? You are not ordained. You do not hear the Dharma." The boy smiled gently and replied, "Perhaps. But each drop I carry allows another to listen. So in every pot, I carry a little of the teaching too." Later that day, the Buddha addressed the assembly. After delivering his teaching, he paused, then said, "Among you sits one who has already understood the Dharma, not with words, but with his heart." He turned to the boy. In carrying water for others, he has emptied himself. And so he is ready to be filled. We often believe that only grand acts matter: writing books, giving speeches, becoming someone admired. But the Dharma does not measure worth by visibility. In the eyes of wisdom, sincerity shines brighter than status. The boy's task was simple, repetitive, thankless. Yet he did it with presence, with care, with love. And through it, he touched the heart of the teaching. This is the essence of mindfulness, not just in meditation, but in every act. The Buddha did not praise him for becoming a monk. He praised him for becoming empty. Why? Because only an empty vessel can receive. And only a humble heart can truly hold truth. So ask yourself, are you waiting for the right moment to begin walking the path? Are you overlooking the sacredness in what you already do? Today's practice is a living one. Choose a small task: washing dishes, watering plants, folding laundry. Before you begin, pause. Place your hands together and whisper. This too is the path. May this act benefit all beings. Now perform the task slowly, with full attention, as if it were the only thing that mattered. Notice your breath. Notice your movements. Let your body become the teaching. Let your action become the offering. In the end, do not seek applause. Simply smile to yourself and know: in carrying water, I carried the Dharma. Sometimes, those who serve from the shadows hold the deepest light. And now, we move from a boy's quiet devotion to another form of power, one not so gentle. The next story is of a man who tried to harm the Buddha, but found himself transformed. It is called The Buddha and the Insulter. Let us listen. One day, the Buddha was walking calmly through a village, his footsteps light, his gaze serene. The sun was warm, and birds sang softly in the trees overhead. Behind him trailed a few monks and villagers, eager to learn from his presence, if not from his words. But not everyone welcomed him. A man stood in the middle of the path, angry, fuming. As the Buddha approached, the man began to hurl insults. "You are a fraud," he shouted. "A beggar in robes. You poison minds with lies. The crowd froze. The air turned tight. But the Buddha did not respond. His expression did not change. He continued walking, calm and undisturbed. The man stepped closer, yelling louder, trying to provoke. Did you hear me? Are you deaf? Or just too proud to speak? Finally, the Buddha stopped. He turned to the man and said softly, "If someone offers you a gift, but you do not accept it, who does the gift belong to?" The man blinked, caught off guard. To the one who offered it, of course. The Buddha smiled gently. Then the anger you offer, I do not accept. It remains yours. And with that, he walked on, leaving behind not just the man, but the storm. We live in a world where offense is offered like candy. Online, in the streets, in families, we are surrounded by others' projections, judgments, and pain. It's easy to get pulled in. Easy to react. But what if we didn't? The Buddha's wisdom here is subtle, but life-changing. Not every arrow needs to land. Not every insult must wound. Not every fight requires our sword. When we refuse to accept anger, it stays with the giver. We protect our peace not by building walls, but by not picking up the weapons handed to us. This is not weakness. It is clarity. It is strength rooted in presence, not pride. To absorb every insult is to live as a sponge for others' suffering. To ignore every insult with ego is to live with cold detachment. But to see it clearly, and choose not to receive it, that is freedom. The next time someone speaks to you with anger or judgment, whether a stranger, a partner, or your own inner critic, try this practice. Step 1, the first breath, awareness. Pause. Inhale slowly. Feel the heat rising. Don't act. Just notice. This is anger. Not mine. Just present. Step 2, the second breath, choice. Exhale. Ask yourself silently. Do I need to pick this up? Can I leave this gift unopened? Step 3, the third breath, return. Inhale again, softer now. Exhale with compassion, not to fix the other person, but to protect your own heart. May they be free from their suffering. May I remain at peace. This is how we walk through fire without burning. This is how we stay soft in a world that shouts. The Buddha did not silence the man. He silenced the need to defend himself. And in doing so, he taught us all how to choose peace over pride. Now, let us walk with him a little farther. To a darker tale of a killer and the terrifying power of change. The next story is called The Buddha and the Killer. Are you ready? In the forests of ancient India, terror had a name, Angulimala. Once a bright and capable student, he had been led astray, manipulated by his jealous teacher into believing that enlightenment would come only after killing 100 people and collecting their fingers as proof. Madness followed. One by one, he hunted victims, stringing their fingers into a gruesome necklace around his neck. Villages emptied. Roads fell silent. Parents whispered warnings to their children at night. By the time he reached 99, he needed just one more. And on that day, the Buddha entered the forest. Word spread quickly. Do not go, people begged. The killer waits there. But the Buddha walked with the same steady steps, his heart unshaken. From behind the trees, Angulimala spotted him, a monk in simple robes, walking alone, vulnerable. He grinned. Easy prey. He gave chase. But something strange happened. No matter how fast he ran, the Buddha remained ahead, walking calmly, as if time had slowed for him alone. Breathless, Angulimala finally cried out, "Stop, monk! Stop!" And the Buddha turned, meeting his eyes with calm and said, "I have already stopped. It is you who must stop." Those words struck deeper than any blade. The killer froze. His mind reeled. The Buddha spoke again, not with threat, but with compassion. He saw not a murderer, but a man in pain. A man who could still awaken. And there, in the shade of the forest he had once ruled in blood, Angulimala fell to his knees and wept. He asked to follow the Buddha, to renounce his past, to begin again. And the Buddha accepted him. Later, when villagers saw Angulimala dressed as a monk, they were horrified. "Why is he not punished?" they cried. The Buddha answered, "He has already begun the greatest punishment, a life of truth. To transform the mind that once killed is the rarest miracle. We often believe that some people are too far gone, that some wounds can never heal. But Buddhism teaches otherwise. Karma is real, yes. But so is redemption. Not through denial, but through direct, radical transformation." Angulimala did not erase his past. He faced it, step by step, for the rest of his life. He endured scorn. He walked in silence. But he walked forward. This story challenges us to see the depth of human suffering, not to excuse it, but to understand its roots. Most who harm others were once harmed themselves. Most violence begins as pain left unheard. The Buddha's greatness was not just in his wisdom, but in his vision. He saw not what people were, but what they could become. And perhaps the harder truth, we, too, have an Angulimala inside us. Maybe not with blood on our hands, but with the moments we've lashed out, judged harshly, or turned cold. This story is not only about forgiveness of others, it is about forgiving ourselves. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Let the forest grow quiet in your mind. Now imagine your own inner Angulimala, a version of you that has done harm. Perhaps a harsh word, a selfish act, a time you abandoned your values. Don't turn away. Let them stand before you. Now, speak to them not with shame, but with honesty. Say, "I see you. You were confused, afraid, hurting. But you can stop now. Let us walk forward together. Let your compassion soften what guilt hardens." We are not asked to forget our past. We are asked to walk differently because of it. Angulimala's path did not end in violence. It began with stillness. With a single voice saying, "Stop." And now, we stop, too, for just a breath, before stepping into our next story. One not of violence, but of clarity. It is called, "The Buddha Chooses the Lotus." Shall we continue? One morning, the Buddha stood before a gathering of monks and lay people, but he did not speak. Instead, he simply held up a single lotus flower. Its petals were pale pink, still wet with morning dew. Its stem rose long and graceful from the murky waters where it had grown. The audience waited, curious, unsure. No words came. Some shifted in discomfort. Others frowned, puzzled. But one monk, Mahakassapa, looked at the flower and smiled. He did not need words. He saw through the gesture, straight to the meaning. His eyes met the Buddha's, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them. The Buddha then said, "I possess the true Dharma, the marvelous mind of nirvana, the true form of the formless, the subtle Dharma gate. It does not rely on words and letters, it is a special transmission outside of the scriptures. I now entrust it to Mahakassapa." And so, without a sermon, without a chant, the deepest truth was transmitted, not through speech, but through silence, symbol, and seeing. Why a lotus? Because the lotus blooms from mud. In Buddhist thought, the lotus is the perfect metaphor for the awakened mind. It rises from dark waters, unclean, heavy, filled with decay, and yet, untouched by that mud, it opens its petals to the sun. The Buddha's choice of the lotus was no accident. It was a reminder, your suffering does not disqualify you. Your confusion does not stain your potential. In fact, it is from that very mud that your awakening will bloom. But more than the flower, it was the moment itself that carried power, no words. Just presence. Just seeing. We are so often obsessed with explanations. We want everything labeled, described, proved. But truth, deep truth, doesn't always arrive in language. Sometimes it arrives as stillness. As knowing. as something you feel in the chest, not the mind. Mahakassapa didn't hear the truth. He saw it. And in seeing it, he became it. This practice is not about doing, it's about noticing. Find a quiet place. If possible, sit where you can see something alive, a flower, a tree, a candle flame. If not, simply close your eyes and imagine a lotus. Now breathe. Slowly. Gently. With each inhale, say silently. From the mud. With each exhale. The lotus blooms. Let that be your rhythm. As thoughts arise, worries, memories, plans, see them as mud. Heavy, yes. Necessary, also. But not who you are. You are the stem that rises. You are the petals that unfold. You are the one who blooms from darkness, not in spite of it, but because of it. Stay here as long as you wish. Say nothing. Just be the flower. The Buddha did not speak that day. Because some truths do not need words. They only need your presence. Now, we move from the quiet of the flower to the turbulence of mind. To a story of muddy water, and what happens when we stop stirring it. The next teaching is, the cup and the muddy water. Shall we begin? A young student once came to a wise monk with frustration in his heart. My mind is restless, he said. Thoughts keep spinning. I try to meditate, but everything gets worse. I feel anxious, distracted, sometimes even angry for no reason. The monk nodded slowly, saying nothing. He poured a cup of water from a nearby jug and handed it to the student. Then, without a word, he took a stick and stirred the water vigorously. Mud swirled from the bottom, turning it murky and brown. Look, the monk said. Can you see through it? The student shook his head. No, it's all cloudy. The monk set the cup down on the table. Now, he said, just wait. They sat together in silence. Minute by minute, the mud began to settle. Slowly, the water cleared. The swirling thoughts of the cup calmed, because no one was stirring them. The monk smiled gently and said, Your mind is like this. When you stop stirring, it clears on its own. We are taught to fix our thoughts. To argue with them. Replace them. Force them into submission. But the mind is not a problem to be solved. It is a cup of water, sometimes disturbed, sometimes still. The more we stir it, chasing answers, clinging to control, reacting to every ripple, the cloudier it becomes. The Buddha did not teach us to control every thought. He taught us to see them. To let them rise. Let them fall. And most of all, not to identify with them. Your thoughts are not your truth. They are movements within you, not the you itself. When we stop adding stories, stop clinging to noise, stop reacting to every splash, clarity returns. Not as something achieved, but something revealed. And from that clarity, compassion flows. This is a short, gentle practice. Just 3 minutes. But it can change the tone of your entire day. Find a cup. Fill it with clean water. Place it in front of you. Imagine this cup is your mind. Set a timer for 3 minutes. Sit in silence. Watch the water. No music. No mantra. Just breathe and observe. If thoughts arise, let them swirl and watch what happens when you do nothing. After 3 minutes, whisper silently. My mind is like water. When I am still, it becomes clear. Repeat this practice once a day. Over time, your outer life will begin to reflect this inner stillness. The world may swirl around you, but you will remain calm beneath the surface. The muddy water only needed one thing, stillness. Just like you. And now, we move from the cup to a mirror. Not to see your reflection, but to remember what lies beneath the dust. The next story is called, The Dusty Mirror. Shall we go on? A monk once asked his master, How can I find enlightenment? The master led him to a dusty mirror hanging in the monastery's old hall. Time and silence had covered it in a thick layer of dirt. It reflected nothing, only shadows and grime. The master handed the monk a cloth and said, "This mirror is your mind." The monk began to wipe. At first, nothing changed. The dust smeared. But he kept going, gently, patiently. Bit by bit, light began to break through. Eventually, the mirror shone again, clear and bright. His own face stared back at him. The master said, "The clarity was always there. You just couldn't see it through the dust." This is one of the deepest truths in Buddhism. You are not here to become pure. You are here to realize you were never impure. The dust on the mirror is our fear, anger, guilt, desire, distraction, ego. But the mirror beneath? It's always untouched. Always reflective. Always bright. We spend so much of our lives trying to fix ourselves, thinking something is wrong, broken, or missing. But the Buddha taught, your true nature is already awake. Already whole. What's needed is not self-improvement, it's self-remembering. You do not need to build a new self. You only need to remove what covers who you've always been. And that is a quiet, ongoing practice, wiping the mirror. Sometimes the cloth is breath. Sometimes silence. Sometimes forgiveness. But always gentle. Always with care. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Imagine that behind your thoughts, behind all emotions, behind even your name and story, there is a vast, still mirror. It doesn't judge what it reflects. It doesn't hold on to what passes. It simply receives. Now picture a bit of dust on that mirror. A worry. A fear. A regret. With each breath, gently wipe it away, not by fighting it, but by accepting it. Say softly in your mind, "This too is dust." It does not define the mirror. When you open your eyes, look around. Everything you see is a reflection, not of the world, but of how your mirror is today. Keep polishing. With patience. With love. The mirror did not need to be replaced. Only remembered. And now, we move to a fragile object, a glass. But not just any glass, a broken one, still whole. The next story is, the glass is already broken. Shall we listen? A revered Thai forest monk once sat with a small group of students, a simple glass resting beside him. He picked it up, held it in the sunlight, and asked, "Do you see this glass? I love this glass. It holds my water well. It reflects the light beautifully. When I tap it, it rings with a clear tone." He paused, smiling. "But for me, this glass is already broken." The students were confused. One asked, "If it's broken, why do you still use it?" The monk replied, "Because when I know this glass is already broken, every moment with it is precious. Every time I drink from it, I enjoy it fully. And when it falls and shatters, as it inevitably will, I will say, 'Ah, of course.' Everything you love will one day change, fade, or be lost." This is not pessimism. It is freedom. The Buddha taught anicca, impermanence, as one of the three marks of existence. To deny it is to live in illusion. To accept it is to live in peace. The problem isn't that things end. The problem is that we thought they wouldn't. When we grasp too tightly, clinging to people, objects, even emotions, we suffer twice, once in the holding, and again in the losing. But when we truly understand that everything we hold is already broken, already passing, already in motion, we begin to live with tenderness. With gratitude. With presence. The joy becomes fuller. The pain becomes lighter. And the fear becomes smaller. Just as the monk loved his glass more because it was fragile, so too can we love this moment because it will not last. Think of something you care deeply for, a person, a home, your own body. Now close your eyes and whisper silently, "This too is already broken. This too will change. So let me love it now." Feel the weight of that truth, not with despair, but with tenderness. Can you smile at what you have, while you have it? Can you drink from the cup of life without needing it to last forever? This is the art of joyful impermanence. Each breath is already gone. Each heartbeat, already past. And yet here you are alive, aware, whole. This is the gift. The monk did not mourn the glass. He honored it by living with it fully until it was no more. And now, from glass to bamboo. Not hard and fragile, but soft and empty. Our final story is the hollow bamboo. Shall we go on? A young monk once asked his master, "How can I become a true vessel of the Dharma?" The master said nothing. Instead, he handed the monk a long, slender bamboo stick, smooth, light, and empty inside. Then the master walked away. The monk was confused. For days, he stared at the bamboo, meditated on it, even tried using it as a walking stick. Still, the meaning eluded him. Finally, he returned and asked again, "Master, what does this mean?" The old teacher took the bamboo, raised it to his lips, and gently blew through it. A soft, flute-like note emerged, pure and beautiful. Then he handed it back and said, "Only when it is hollow can the winds sing through it. If you wish to carry the Dharma, become like this bamboo. Empty of self, full of song." To be empty does not mean we are blank, numb, or indifferent. In Buddhism, sunyata emptiness means the absence of a fixed, separate self. It is not a void, but a space. A space in which compassion flows freely, wisdom rises naturally, and truth echoes like wind through bamboo. The ego, when rigid, blocks the song. It clings to identity, to being right, to being seen, to being in control. But when we loosen it, when we let go of being someone, we become a vessel. Just as the bamboo cannot play itself, we cannot force truth. But we can become still enough, spacious enough, humble enough, that truth flows through us. The greatest teachers are not the loudest, nor the cleverest. They are the most open. The most empty. And from that emptiness, the deepest sound arises. Close your eyes. With each inhale, imagine clearing out the clutter inside you: old stories, pride, fear, need for approval. With each exhale, feel a little more space open. Say silently, "I am not the sound. I am not the breath. I am the bamboo. Let life sing through me." Then, let go of even that. Just be. Let the wind move. Let the world hum. You are simply the hollow that allows it to pass through. The bamboo teaches us this. To carry the Dharma is not to hold it, but to become the thing through which it flows. And so, dear listener, you have arrived. We began with blind men searching for truth, and now end with the bamboo that no longer searches, because it simply is. And now, dear listener, you have walked with us through 10 simple stories, each one a doorway, each one a mirror. We met the blind men, who each touched only a part of truth. We watched a merchant desire a monk's empty bowl. We followed a humble boy, who carried water and unknowingly carried wisdom. We listened as the Buddha faced an insulter with silence and clarity. We trembled as a killer laid down his past and was seen, not as a monster, but as a man. We stood with the lotus, rising from mud into light. We let muddy water settle, and discovered the power of stillness. We wiped the dusty mirror, revealing the face that was always there. We held the glass that was already broken, and in doing so, held life more gently. And finally, we became the bamboo, hollow, open, and ready to let truth sing through us. None of these stories shouted. None demanded. They whispered. And still, they stirred something in you, didn't they? Maybe not all at once. Maybe not loudly. But something softened. Something remembered. The Dharma is not a thing you collect. It is not a prize or an achievement. It is a turning. A quiet bow. A loosening of the grip. If you carry one thing from this journey, let it be this. You are already enough. You do not need to become someone else. You only need to remove what was never truly you. So pause. Breathe. Let the stories continue working in you like seeds that bloom later, in silence, in stillness, in the middle of ordinary days. And when life gets loud again, as it always does, remember the mirror, the glass, the water, the lotus. Remember the bamboo. Come back here if you need. Or better yet, go sit with the wind. Or watch a single drop fall into a bowl. Or listen to someone's pain without needing to fix it. That, too, is the Dharma. If this podcast touched something in you, pass it on. Not just the audio, but the way you breathe, the way you listen, the way you love. Let the teachings move through you not as lectures, but as presence. Not as knowledge, but as being. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more hollow bamboo. Thank you for walking this path with us. May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free.